and welcome to Arts and Crafts. I'm Audra, and this is my friend Megan.
Hi there.
And this week on our journey around the world, guess where we're going, Megan?
I don't know. We finished in South America last week, so
we're changing continents.
Yeah, where are we going?
We're going to Africa.
Africa? I've never been there.
I have not been there either. But
they're famous for their animals, though, aren't they?
They are, and they're really famous for the savanna, the African savanna, and the Sahara Desert.
Yes.
So, desert, and then the savanna has all the animals and the grasslands, I guess they would kind of call it. I'm not sure. There was a great show that was on called Serengeti. Did you get to see it?
I don't think so.
It was on either the History Channel or on National Geographic. But it was like an 8-week thing, and it was called Serengeti. Look it up if you do get a chance to, because it is a great series about all the animals that live there and all their little herds, and it follows these same herds all around, so you get to see the babies and how they grow up. It's really cool. I liked it. So one thing that they're known for is their African savanna and the sunsets over the savannas. And so today we are going to make a shadow tracing art piece that highlights the sunset that they see. So in your box, you'll have construction paper.
All right.
There's one for you.
Thank you.
In your packet, under the African shadow tracing art, you're going to have some outlines of animals. So I brought you some too today.
All right. Oh, thank you.
From home, you'll need a pencil. You'll have a glue stick in your box and some scissors.
All right.
So pretty simple supplies this week that you need. But first, what we start with is a red sheet of paper. What colors do you think of when you think of a sunset?
I think of orange and yellow mostly. But there's some, Texas has fantastic sunsets, and so sometimes in our sunsets we see pinks and blues and other colors.
I think of the pinks and blues. Sometimes there's even some purple in it at the very bottom, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for the African savanna, they have reds and oranges and yellows in theirs. And so, obviously, you can always do what you want. All right, so we found orange paper. So from your pack of paper, you'll need an orange, a yellow, a red, and a black.
All right.
And that's all, just one sheet of each. So we're gonna start with our red as our base. For your orange and your yellow, you're going to start tearing strips, and you're gonna tear them this way. So we don't wanna cut them. They can be different sizes, different shapes. I think it probably would look good if it's very different. Sunsets aren't all straight lines anyway, right?
That's right.
Some of them can be, ooh, that one was really skinny across there. That's okay. That'll be a good addition.
I was trying to make mine like curvy a little bit, and it didn't turn out very curvy, but it did have a little bit of shape.
There's a whole thing about torn paper art. Have you ever done very much of that, Megan?
I haven't done very much of it, but I actually am finding it very satisfying to rip the paper.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, so I can imagine that I would probably enjoy torn paper art. I've done a little bit with mosaic torn paper, but
oh yeah,
that's about it.
I like things kind of neat and tidy and measured out and straight. Precise. So this is really giving me a little bit of freedom to not have it just perfect.
Yeah. That's very true. I can imagine that if you're feeling feelings today and you're very angry, it might feel really good just to give it a quick tear and throw it on your face.
Rip it.
That's right. Because tearing the paper isn't hurting anything, and it's probably a good way to take that emotion off.
So I think you may not even have to tear all of your paper.
Okay. Just give us a good start.
Give us a good start, and then we will see where we go with. Whoa, that was a big.
Mine did the same thing.
So my orange is tearing much differently than mine.
Yeah, my yellow tore very smooth. This one is very jagged.
Now you're going to get your jagged edges.
Yeah, this paper is tearing very differently. They must be slightly different in texture, not just color.
This one might not be as good as if you just can't get a rip. And then you get pieces. That's all right too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of how sunsets are. Some colors peek through and some are hidden.
Okay, so I think I have enough to get started to show you the next step. So what we're going to do is just start gluing your strips, probably kind of alternating the yellow and the orange, but you want to let the red shine through too. So I'm going to start with the yellow up at the top, and just use your glue stick to
Now, I don't know how you feel, but when I'm using glue sticks, I tend to be really generous with the glue. Because I feel like glue sticks aren't as sticky as some of the other glues, and so I tend to try to use a lot just to make sure it sticks.
Yes. We're going to get to share today.
All right.
You know what might help is being able to put it on both sides too. Put some on the red.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I started across the top, and I think I'm gonna add in one of these really jagged orange pieces.
Now, should we layer them a little bit, or leave a gap, or both?
I think a little bit of both. When I laid this down, I kind of liked how it looked with leaving a gap, but then overlapping a little bit of that too. Yeah. So my orange is overlapping the yellow a little bit, but you can still see the red through the middle.
Yeah, I like that. That looks good.
And again, it's art. It can be what you want it to be. There's no right or wrong answer. The edges of your...
I'm going to reach across and borrow that glue.
All right.
Thanks.
The edges of your paper, you know, where you tear, you had your straight edge right there. So that really kind of gives you a guide of where you can put it to the edge of your paper too.
That's true, huh? My orange pieces, some of them tore a little bit before I got. They were a little
to the edge.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite place that you like to go out and look at sunsets?
Not really. Like, if I look out my front door over to the west, sometimes we can really see a good one.
Yeah.
And then there's a lake that is not too far from us. So if we take a drive over that way, then we can see the sunset over the lake. Which then you have the reflection.
Yeah.
How about you?
So a lot of times the sun is setting as I'm driving home. And I think it's a really nice view because I drive close to places that where there's like lots of ranches and lots of open land. And so I actually find it to be quite pretty to have the sun setting against a lot of like small hills and animals sometimes and that kind of thing. I feel like it's a very Texan landscape. Whereas what we're doing here, hopefully, is more African.
So our next step is going to be to get to our animals. Do you have a favorite African animal? Do you know which animals would be from the African savannah?
Well, the first one that always comes to my mind is giraffes. Giraffes are one of my favorite animals. But I would think that elephants and maybe some lions. What about you? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I think probably the giraffes and the elephants would be my favorite. Although I kind of like some of the monkeys or baboons. But what I learned on that show about the savannah and where it followed the families, sometimes the baboons are not very nice.
Oh, are they protective?
They are very protective, which is a good thing, and sometimes it wasn't a good thing, I think, for them.
Yeah. Well, for a while, I had friends that lived in Africa. They've come back to the United States now. But one of the things they said that was a huge issue in the place where they lived was how elephants were actually hunted for their tusks.
Oh, yeah.
Because the tusks are worth a lot of money to make things out of for the locals. And so that was a very big problem in their area. So as much as I love animals, elephants, I feel like we have to be worried about.
We have to take care of them a little better.
Yeah.
So you want to work your way all the way down your page.
Okay. I'm getting close.
I am too. I'm almost. Almost finished. And then we can move on to our next step.
I feel like my papers are drifting a little bit, but I think it's fine. Sometimes when you do art, it brings out this perfectionism of like, oh, that little thing is bothering me. But really, it's not a big deal to the overall outcome of how your art looks.
Yeah, if you just keep going, then it kind of covers up.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do something like this edge. Because my perfectionist wants the straight edge at the bottom. I can't help it.
That's right. I bet nobody would notice except for you.
Yeah.
But that is the fun part about art. You get to make it the way that you want it.
I've done things before, and if I showed people, like, I knew where I thought the imperfections were, and when I showed it to the other person, like, they didn't notice it at all.
Yeah. If it's important to you guys to have a straight edge, and you're like me, I don't have any more straight edges. I have already put my straight edges onto my paper. I guess I do have one orange, you could take one of your ones that aren't straight and you could put it down and then trim it with your scissors, or you could also fold it onto the back. So if having a straight edge is important and you don't have one, you could probably figure out how to make that work.
All right. I am going to move all my scraps so that I have room to work with my black paper now. All right, so there's my sunset.
Ooh, very nice.
Kind of looks like a sunset's going. There are two ways for us to create our shadows. So in your packet, we've given you some animal shapes. So there's your favorite giraffe, an elephant, and a rhinoceros.
Ooh, nice.
And a baboon, and a lion. And they're just the outlines because that's all we need. They're a little bit different sizes, and when you're looking at shadows and depth, everything's going to be a little bit different sizes as you work backwards, and that's what we're trying to do. So today we're going to use these shapes and our black paper. But the other thing that you can do, if you happen to have some little plastic animals of a giraffe or an elephant or something, and you can take this outside and set your paper up, and all you need to do it in the evening time, put your animals in front of it. It will make a shadow on your sunset. You can use your black paper to trace that shadow, cut it out, and then put it on here. And that will create your shadow effect. For us, we're gonna do...
I have done that before, and I think as long as the sun is behind where you're sitting, because you want the sun to be shining on your animal so the shadow's projecting down, I think that you can, that it is fun to do that way. So which animal are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to start with my giraffe.
Okay.
One thing I like to do is just to lay my white paper, my tracing paper on top, and then just outline it with a pencil, and it'll make an indentation on your black paper.
Oh, that's smart.
Sometimes it's hard to see.
I am going to do that elephant. Now, when you do this, you really only have to do the outside line, right?
Yes, just the outline is all you need.
I would not have thought about just tracing it like this and making an indentation. That was good thinking.
Well, otherwise you'd have to cut it out of your white paper, lay it onto your black paper, trace it, and cut it out again. Yes. Which you could always do too. Yeah. It works.
That was actually what I was thinking we were going to have to do. So this saves you a step.
Now I'm going to cut out my giraffe.
Now, if you are lucky enough to be able to go and visit these animals in town, not in Africa, in town, do you have any thoughts or any favorite places where you like to go and see animals?
We like the zoo, the Fort Worth Zoo. My grandson loves it, so we have taken him quite a few times.
Yes.
But I like their new, I think they call it African Savannah, right? The section where these animals are.
Probably.
Except for the elephants have a new habitat now that is open.
Ooh, nice.
We actually got to go see them. It's next to where the giraffes and the rhinos and stuff are.
Very nice. There's a place that I've gotten to go once or twice that's called Fossil Rim, and it's a little ways out of town. But the fun thing about Fossil Rim is that you stay in your car the whole time and you drive through the animal park and they give you food.
Oh, really?
And the animals will come up to your car and you can feed them out your window. And one of the animals that they have there is giraffes. And we had a really fun experience when my son was little where he was trying to feed the giraffe out, and the giraffe was so hungry he put his head inside the window and was trying to eat out of my son's car seat cup, which is sitting right there.
Which wasn't his food.
No, it was definitely not his food. It was definitely a Lego man that he was trying to steal.
Well, he thought that just looked really good, I guess.
He did, yes. So, but that was an experience I will never forget, and it's just sort of a fun place to see animals really up close. Up
close, yes. I've not been there. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll have to take the grandson with us.
Yeah, for sure.
And go see that.
I can tell you all a little secret. My sons, they always ask their dad, can we drive? Can we drive? Because when you're proceeding through the parks, you go at a very slow pace. And so they like to take their seatbelts off and sit up front. And we don't advise doing that here at the hospital. But that is something that some kids experience at that place.
Well, sometimes it makes it easier to see the animals too.
Yes, for sure.
All right, I have my giraffe cut out. And I think that, I've got this little corner of paper, so I think I'm going to see if I can get the lion on there.
I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out which one was the line, so I had to look back at my picture to try to remember where the line was. That might happen to you guys too as you're cutting.
So you probably want at least 3 animals. You could get 4 on there. I don't know if you'll have a space to get all of the animals, but you might.
Woohoo!
What'd you get?
An elephant.
Very good.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely going for the giraffe next. Did you do the giraffe?
I did get the giraffe. And then I think I'm going to do the rhino as my big one.
That giraffe looks very cute. I'm not sure if I did my space painting very well on my black paper. So in order to get 4 animals, I may have to find another black paper in my construction pack.
Yeah, there should be plenty in there for you to use more.
Yeah.
Ooh, he has a skinny tail.
So I remember learning about a scientist, and I can't remember for sure, but I'm almost positive she was in Africa, and her name was Jane Goodall, and she studied gorillas.
Yes, I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Is she? She's the one that taught one of the gorillas sign language, right? Is that the same person?
I think so. I don't know for sure. But I think she really wanted to watch the animals in their own habitats without disrupting their habitat and their way of life and that kind of thing. She was one of the first scientists that was taking that approach, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. You know, while we're doing these videos, makes you question all the things that you think you know.
It does, you're right.
Like, am I telling you the right thing? Yeah. But
Always recommend going and researching things.
that's right. Google is your... Although not everything on Google is reliable. You sometimes have to like look and make sure you're reading from a reliable source. That's what I tell my kids.
There is a difference for sure. I did see, and we were talking about the Fort Worth Zoo. They had a video of one of the rhinos at the Fort Worth Zoo doing zoomies around his habitat there.
Really?
I didn't know that rhinos did zoomies like dogs do zoomies.
I had no idea either. I wouldn't have to go look for that.
Google that.
Yeah, Google
the
that.
Fort Worth Zoo
Uh-huh.
and rhino zoomies.
Yes,
He was cute.
he was cute. I don't think I'm cutting quite exactly on the line,
I know I'm not,
but that's no big deal.
but I
to
don't.
me.
I think it's.
Yeah.
I think it's okay because when we are really looking at shadows, shadows don't have perfect exact lines.
And that's
They
good.
usually are kind of fuzzy on the edges,
Yeah.
and cutting is not one of my greatest skills. I think I'm worse at cutting than I am at drawing.
Well, you know, I think that cutting on the line especially is hard sometimes especially when you're learning how to cut. So if you are out there and you're just learning how to cut, it is no big deal if you are off the line. We've had years and years of practice and we don't stay on the line.
Cutting my rhino.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna start gluing my animals on.
I think I might be happy with these two.
Yeah. Well, you chose like the two of the bigger ones,
I did, yeah.
so it covers up more space there.
Yeah. Although you have a very large, two large ones too.
So then we're just gonna layer your animals up on top of that sunset. It over a bit. Oh, adjust.
So a lot of times if your glue is still wet, you can fill it back up a little bit. But
Move it over.
yes, but not always. Sometimes it sticks a little bit and then it doesn't want to cooperate.
Why do giraffes have such long necks?
I think the scientific answer is to reach the leaves in the trees because I'm pretty sure that giraffes are not, they're herbivores, which means that they're tree eaters or leaf eaters, and they're not omnivores. Omnivores eat both. Are omnivores, they eat both meat and herbs. Is there a word for if you only eat meat?
Carnivores.
That's right. Thank you. I'm so glad. I knew that. I knew that there was a word, and I couldn't come up with it, and I was like,
Carnivores.
Yes. So if you only eat meat, you're a carnivore. If you only eat plants, then you're an herbivore. And giraffes, I believe, are only herbivores, and they need to reach high in the trees. And so they have long tongues and long necks.
It's also a good way for them to be able to get their food, because like other animals that are eating food at this level, they eat that up. Yeah. But the giraffes kind of have the corner market on the tops of the trees. Yeah. They can get up there to eat.
Not everyone can reach that high.
So hopefully you can see our shadow art. They both look very different. Same kind of pursuit, but they all look very different. Yours will look different from ours. But I hope that you enjoyed this art project and like your African savanna creations. And we will see you next time on Arts and Crafts. Bye.